Woohoo! All the buttons have been pushed. Hi, everybody. It's kind of crazy that we're only 20 members away from 2,000 now. It's a bit of a slower rise when it comes to getting the numbers up with you guys, but I'm so excited to get to that number. Um, I I did some back end stuff in terms of prepping for us releasing some fantasy content soon. We'll get into this month's theme here once everyone has kind of rolled in, but I haven't made the website for it yet, but I have bought the URL for the first fantasy series within Phantasma, which is the fantasy world that we've built together. And that title is here. Actually, let me prepare with providing this at least a little bit of showmanship to this announcement. Let me grab this and here we go. Okay, the uh, the fantasy series, the first one that we'll be making is called Spellbrook. Spellbrook. I butchered the announcement, but Spellbrook. I'm excited about this because the name definitely implies a lot of the kind of story that we wanted to go with, which is following people living in a magical world that don't have magical powers, and are like the vagrants or the underbelly of Phantasma and everything. So it's an exciting time to kind of see this coming together. And I'm not going to underplay the fact that the last month dedicated to fantasy was the major push that I needed in order to get this stuff done. When it was all thanks to your all's help too. I mean, it was huge, huge. Uh, it's so much fun to make things with you guys, and Enid being here too. By the way, this is great. Um, she was the one who actually prompted the panel that inspired the first Spellbrook teaser. The thing is about this is that uh, it's we have so much material saved up that we we went in all sorts of different directions that it took actual like time and effort to not only bring all that back in and hone it into something, but it more importantly to kind of make it fit within this greater world that you guys are all building together. So I'm eager to show you guys all of that, but we'll start off with the actual comic that was produced. So let me get that linked over to you guys here real quick. Okay, I'm just going to link the full single page comic. This is, and by the way, thank you for the Victor right here, Compasta. It's a really cute one. I like it. I'm gonna link it inside of VC text for you guys. So let's just drag and drop that here. So this is the first teaser comic. I have made an entire, like, I would say 7 pages of the first episode of this comic series, but that actually happened towards the end of last year, and we decided to kind of hold back a little bit and kind of wait until some new features came out because we really wanted to make the world grand and fun and super entertaining. So we wanted to make sure that it was living up to some expectations. So I hope this comic does it for you when it comes to just giving you a little taste of what kind of scale we want to go with for this series. But the actual panel that Enid had generated was the fifth panel here, and I'll give you guys a little bit to read through that here. But it's a trip. It's a trip to make things with you guys, and it's all because we all have like these unified mood boards that we're working with and style references that essentially hone in the mid journey results so that they're always complementary to each other. And it really helps speed up the process of color correction and setting this stuff up, let alone just the collaborative side of it. The On our server we'll spend time building out more of the fantasy theme stuff, but on the stream today we are going to be focusing on sci-fi. And I know that this is something that has been particularly exciting for a lot of people who are basically have been waiting for me to touch on this topic for a while now. So I'll be excited to get into all of that. And it's a little intimidating for me because I don't really know where to start with it. Oh, hey, Rhapsody. Good to see ya. And I see Lolo Soon has posted his welcome to my world comic, which is so fun. Um, oh, this didn't maximize correctly. Hold on. There we go. Okay. So I'll zoom in here really quick so you guys can check out Lolo Soon's comic. March of the Machines. Welcome to my world. The Lolo does a lot more sci-fi stuff than I do, and we're gonna see plenty of his stuff inside of VC Create. Also, I should explain everything of how it works here for anyone who's new, but I thank you so much for making this, Lolo. This is a fun introduction into the grim potential future of what we're doing. I mean, there's all sorts of different reasons why we would want to kind of like hone in where we want to go with sci-fi first. But I'm just excited to start off with something that is like this because we can use this as a style reference to actually start telling a story that looks like this comic so that you could continue it or make something complementary to that. That's essentially the workflow that we're going to be doing today. But I want to first explain for anyone who's new here. First off, my name is Victor Gnarly. I am a former visual effects artist for Cartoon Network and Adult Swim. I worked on shows like Robot Chicken, Moral Oral, and a handful of other stop motion shows. But I am just so excited to be able to make this stuff with you guys here today because it just lets us do collaboration in a whole new way that is just so fun. And I've been doing it here for over a year and it just doesn't get old. It's so much fun. So you can do that by hopping just above the stage here. There is VC Create and VC Text. VC Create is where people are prompting today, and you can collaborate and iterate on each other's prompts all in the same place. Especially when this room gets real big, this is like so fast it can kind of be overwhelming with how much content kind of flows through this channel. But if you have anything that you're working on, feel free to prompt it here. You can also use /show to bring up a prompt from a different server or your private account and bring it here. You're going to see plenty of folks doing that. Just to give the prompts they've been working on. A little bit of a demonstration here. But then the other half of this is VC Text, and that is on the left side of my screen here. You have both Rhapsody and Kinky shared a link to our server. You're more than welcome to join. And that server is where we're going to be able to like save and collaborate all the stuff that we're doing. And we'll give a full tour of that later on. I know that a lot of the people here are more than familiar with the Gnarly Studios servers. So if you're new, just click that join button and you'll be able to make stuff with us, not just every Friday, but every day if you wanted to. But at this point, you feel free to chat with us on VC Text. Everything gets saved and eventually uploaded to YouTube. So if you missed anything, you can always catch it on the Gnarly Comics YouTube channel, which is just search Victor Gnarly. You'll find it there too. Okay. So at this point, we are already seeing plenty of folks posting their characters. And if this is the first time you're here, we focus on character development, character workshops in general. Like we've been doing themes as of lately, but we may hop out of that and try out some other things here in the future too. But for now we are focused on trying to develop original stories with characters that either are just kind of like stand-ins for ourselves, which is like most commonly in web comics. You'll see like artists soapboxing for themselves using their original characters. And you could do the same thing too now. But if you just have an original character here, you can bring it into Midjourney and start telling stories or making comics or whatever you want to do. And that's what we're going to be tackling here today. you're going to be seeing a lot of robots and things because last stream we talked about doing March of the Machines, and Lolo's comic here is a decent starting point, as well as building our own custom mood boards to be able to essentially tell Midjourney that we only want to get a specific kind of content. So let's first start with the style reference because that just requires either one image or multiple wow, I can't talk today, a single image or multiple images. So we're just going to take Lolo Soon's comic here and hit copy image address by right clicking on it. You can also just upload it to Discord if you're on mobile or whatever. But the idea here is that we're going to hit /imagine here. And then let's just start off with a simple concept of a sci-fi film, because you might be tempted to say, hey, make me multiple comic panels right off the bat, and we've done that plenty of times in the past. But if we are intending for the highest quality single panel image, ideally we want to start off with just a really good reference point, a really good solid panel in order to us to expand and create additional panels off of that. Because everything you do with Midjourney is going to be derivative of what's ever in your image. So let's first make a very high quality single panel here. So let's do a sci-fi film, and then we're going to hit --sref. That stands for style reference. And then we're going to post Lolo Soon's comic as the style reference, just a direct link to it. For now, we won't use Niji, but we'll probably hop over to Niji knowing his stuff. And then after this, we will get into character referencing as well. But for now, we are just going to try to establish a sci-fi panel here. So let's also set an aspect ratio with AR and then 3:2. Just something a little wide. Just something that gives us a little more of a cinematic result. Let's see what we get off of this. And you can see plenty of folks are already throwing in their cyberpunk their cyberpunk characters, and I've recognized fully that cyberpunk's probably going to be one of the most popular themes, and I might just have to give it to Lolo Soon to actually manage because there's so much other sci-fi stuff out there that my temptation was to go in a completely darker, grimmer direction, and we will get into that here in a minute. What did Lola Soon see here? See, I keep a secret, and that or people you spilled the bean can keep it. Yeah. So I'll say this here. When it comes to like the comic here, so we got a single panel of just a generic sci-fi concept of a film, and we basically just get a bunch of like hero poses because of the actual style reference itself has Lolo's OC as the in that standard superhero pose of standing at the corner of a building like Batman, right? No wonder that when it interrogates that and it says, oh, this is a bunch of superhero kind of characters, right? So we can also try to do a negative prompt on top of this, and that may lean us a little farther away from the superhero aspect. So we can do --no and then say superhero. And we could see if that helps us get us a little farther away from that stereotype. But if you want to lean into it, then do it. That's fine. I'm just curious what this does. And I see you guys are already throwing into the cyberpunk cyborg hell. I'm totally down to see where you guys go with that. That'll be fun. Okay, see, as soon as we do a negative prompt on superheroes, suddenly it's a lot more of human condition is on display, especially that third one where he's kind of sleepy. That definitely evokes not a superhero task. Also, the first one here is just kind of like doing your paperwork. He's just the idea of like you live in a sci-fi dystopian world or whatever, and you still gotta do taxes. It sounds right for a dystopia. But let's see. Now that we have this kind of idea of the aesthetic that it builds, right? Kind of rainy, bleak, lots of orange, of course. That is definitely Lola Soon's kind of calling card. But what we can do is see how far or how much influence the style reference has by also including the color. So let's do orange. So it's no superhero and no orange. I'm curious what this gets us, and it may get us a little farther away from that I would say your trademark look there, Lolo. So let's start with this, and then we'll get into the comic I made for today's stream because we're gonna end up mixing things, all sorts of weird sci-fi ideas. You guys, I'm sure, are going to get in there, as well as character referencing, which you're going to see all over the place here. But let's see what happens with a negative. Ooh, I like all the GLaDOSes you guys are doing. But let's see what the negative prompt did for us here. Is it still rendering? It might still be rendering. I'll run it again just to see what we get. Oh, I see you guys are going ham on that. I see. Okay, no, it's rendering right now. Let's take a look at what this is. 35%. Whoa, I like that one. This whole take on Victor with the half cyborg face is pretty cool. I like it. Um, I did make a profile based on my own photography that I'll eventually show. It has nothing to do with sci-fi, so I won't show it right now. But I am happy with the results of it. I only take photography, like I only get the urge to go outside and take photography when it's super foggy, right? Like when there's so much fog you can't even see the distance at all. Like that's when I go, okay, I'm pulling out the camera. But yeah, so as soon as I hit no orange, the orange doesn't dominate the result nearly as much. And you could see that, especially in that first one, we were able to get away from that pretty significantly. Um, Kind of looks like a dude's on like a medical gurney slab on the top left of it, though. That's this one right here. It looks like there's someone floating in space, and he's just kind of there. Interesting. Okay. What are you getting me to say now? What is this? You live in a sci-fi dystopia and have to do taxes. Yeah, 100%. Yep. Yep. Um, oops. I gotta open it back up now uh, because Discord does not like me today. Hold on a second. Let me get my links in order here. Unfortunately, uh, Discord likes to open up weird or lag for a half second when I try to open up something, and then when I disconnect from it, it makes me connect off site because I have to do the authentication app or whatever, and it just takes me a second. Sorry, guys. Boop. Log in. Try my best not to say my password out loud. Okay. I have to be very conscious of that because I don't have an internal monologue, right? So like, it's very easy for me to just blurb stuff out, and so, yeah. Every time that happens, I have to be like, "Don't do it! Don't do it! Don't do it!" Yeah. I like the computer circuitry sort of backpack sort of thing going on here. It's really interesting, actually. I would like to do that to for like motion lines, like particularly like it would be really cool to do circuit board inspired like action in comics. I haven't seen that before, and that's instantly what I think of here. I don't know. It just seems like a cool idea. Ooh, photography. Yes, that is exactly what I take is photography, 100%. And see, I'm drawn to the ones that you guys are like leading into the stuff I like. So I'm sorry to get a little distracted here, but let's find the comic here. Okay, cool. So at this point, I because the style reference includes comic panels themselves, it will help us to now establish this comic. Let's try the first one here because I think just has the most interesting composition. Um, so what I'm gonna do is I am first going to do a custom zoom, and then we're gonna set the zoom to 1 so that it doesn't actually zoom out. It'll just change the aspect ratio of the image. There's much more robust ways to do this with the website, but for now we're just going to use Discord because I want you guys to be as involved as possible when it comes to this. Um, let's go ahead and now change the aspect ratio from 3:2 to 2:5, and that will make it far more vertical and hopefully get us multiple panels that will be derivative of this panel that we currently have. So we could say now, instead of sci-fi film, we could say multiple comic panels. And if we want to go even farther to dictate the action we want to see inside of this comic, then we could say multiple comic panels depicting, waking up from cryo sleep, something like that. And we still have the negative prompts on there. I'll probably end up getting rid of them because they do heavily affect the result. So let's go ahead and submit this. But the thing is what I'm already expecting to do is, you see the style reference here. I'm expecting to make that have a higher weight or more powerful, and we do that by including a style weight. I'll do that after we run this one here. So let's do one as is, and then I'll come down to see when that's going to start rendering here. Cryo sleep, machine supremacy. Okay. Is that a song?
The song is Cryo Sleep, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I'll have to check
Highly
that out.
recommended.
Nice. I'll have to check that out here in a bit. Okay. All right. So what's really cool about this is that it worked right off the bat. By the way, we got multiple comic panels. The that is very derivative off the original image and follows Lolo Soon's comics. At least, like, you can see the orange it still has an effect even if we did a negative prompt on it. But what I want to do next is I want to try boosting the style weight in order to make the panels inside of this comic more apparent. So let's do --SW, stands for style weight, and then let's set that to a pretty high number. Let's do 750. We are most likely going to start seeing white borders on the comic because it is looking at the style reference and going, it needs to look more like this. Once you understand all the parameters and know how to fiddle with these things, you're far more likely to be happy using Midjourney to make things, because you're gonna actually have proper control of this stuff. And you can see here the comic panels are way more derivative of his work, in the sense that the character has now been replaced by the style reference character more. So we went a little too far with that, but you can see there's even some white that is shown in the panels too. So we didn't really get the intended effect with that, but you could see what the effect is. Particularly the bottom right one, the fourth result, it looks a lot more like Lolo's OC, who is featured inside of the style reference. But if we were to take this one here and say, all right, let's do the first one here, because he's kind of like asleep, as I've described, and then we can kind of bounce off of this. So he's not wearing the glasses here. We would probably have to prompt that onto his face, but but at this point we can be like, oh, I really like that for that third panel. I really like the second panel that I started with. But let's see what happens if we start to direct the first panel up here. One of the things that you're going to be dealing with when doing this is that you'll notice that there's no order to the panels. You're going to have to construct your comics, and that is the make or break difference when it comes to doing this stuff. Like efficiently, is whether or not you can compartmentalize, the process to where if there's only one part of the image that works for you, save it, export it, upscale it, do what you need to, but then you're bringing it into Photoshop to finish it up. That's really how you take this stuff to the next level. But we're going to try to do as much as we can inside of Midjourney, and it will do 90% of the work. So we're going to get pretty far. But just know that whatever we end up exporting, upscaling, will probably end up in Photoshop here by the end of the stream. So what I'm gonna do though is say this first panel here. Let's because we have him waking up essentially with this first panel here. The first one we started with, we have him asleep in that one. So let's get him multiple comic panels depicting what is it? A floating body in the spaceship. because that silhouette reminds me of like, you know, like after, just after disaster, right? Like maybe he got knocked unconscious while servicing a spaceship or something, and then you know, like he's just seeing his dead crewmates. He's the only one alive on a failing spaceship. That's what I'm inspired by with this comic. So let's see how far we can go with that idea. So he's definitely still passed out and asleep in this one. So let's go ahead and try to get the character to move out with a couple different parameters. There's a couple ways we can handle this. Ooh, you're already getting there. Hilgarden's already making the ship itself, and I love your OC, by the way. I love the old man that you got. But we could easily insert our you know, the one that we're doing for the story, or insert Hilgarden's OC as the dude who's asleep here. But for now, what I'm gonna do is I am going to find. Let's actually go back to the original here, and then go up to Very Region. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to apply a chaos to this. So let's do -C, and then I'm going to apply a chaos of, let's just do 10. It's an extremely powerful parameter. Unless you're using character reference or another parameter on top of this, it can be very, very wild what you get. I see Bert is going off with a Cyborg Vic expansion here. And definitely, this is what happens when you use the character referencing while expanding: is you get a lot of headshots, a lot of close-ups of the character. If you remove the character reference entirely from this, you're going to get far more dynamic panels. So let's take a look at what happened when I applied a little bit of chaos to that. And you know, it's just kind of like a groggy, like turning his head left and right. That's kind of all we got off of that. But let's keep moving on though. Let's keep it moving. Um, let's now expand over to the right and see if we're able to get this to be him depicting a float. Yeah, it's depicting him finding a floating body in the spaceship. Let's go with that. And we might want to start getting rid of the negative prompts because they will start to affect the result. But if we start to see superhero tropes again, then that's going right back on. And so the at least for some of the results that we're going to get here, is probably going to be still more of him sleeping. Yeah, there we go. So at this point, we can see that we have very consistently this character asleep on the ground, that kind of thing. So now we need to break him out of that. So let's see. First off, I'm going to try to let's just apply a chaos of 80, something really, really high. I'm curious how high that gets. No soups on our sci-fi story. Well, it depends on how far in the future you go. I'll get to that here in a minute. But I am curious. Oh no, we got something horrifying out of that result. Look at the fourth one here. Why is he so wrinkly? It's just that's what he wakes up to. He just wakes up to seeing like a you know, a mummy inside of one of his spacesuits. He's been asleep for thousands of years, hundreds of years, or whatever. That's what I get off of that one. But the we're not breaking out of it with chaos, so let's try to break this out in a different way. We'll start to use uh, let's see here. I'll just hop us back up here. Whoop. And I will say that we are definitely pushing what pan and stuff is meant for by using multiple comic panels as a reference here. But I am wanting to see how far we can go without having to change much else. So let's go ahead and say, let's take out the style reference because it does feature like just kind of a guy in the center. So I want to see what it does with just multiple comic panels depicting him finding a floating body in a spaceship. So let's do that. And then just see what we where you guys take your comics, and we'll kind of see where we meet. I know that a lot of you guys are using Victor right now, and that's really fun for me, but I do want to see your all's own characters too. There is a lot of OCs that we've created on these streams. It is something that I'm really proud of it. I'm really proud of the 100 character stream that we did, where we just slammed out. Everyone got featured that day. It was months ago that we did it, but it was so much fun to do. And it's just cool to be able to know that there's a place where we are saving all of these characters that we're most excited to see. And that is the Gnarly Studios server itself. We have the character portal. You can find the character portal on the Gnarly Studios server by just scrolling down a bit under the forums and then click character portal. And this is where you can submit your characters for other people to use, and when they do use it, we recommend updating the character portal page for it, because then the original creator gets notified, and it's just a fun experience for everybody. I have yet to have someone be upset that I used their character inside of a comic. I will definitely, Leela and the Crystal Collector is such a fun little thing that she's been putting together here, and you can get all of her character references, her multiple outfits, all of this stuff that Alistair has been building for this character. It's all available right here, and whenever we use this character, we can update Alistair by just posting on it. So we will end up with an original character by the end of the stream, and we will submit it to the character portal so that you guys can see that whole process. But feel free to hop on to Gnarly Studios and grab one of these characters if you don't have one already. It's really easy to use a character with using character references, just to use any image of a person or a character. But I highly recommend grabbing these because they have been refined with character sheets and just everything else that you'll need to know. There's all sorts of notes that you oftentimes need in order to retain continuity with a character, and that's all here. I mean, you can see just how much work people have been putting into their characters. It's just so cool. So now at this point, let's take a look if we made any progress with expanding out here. Ooh, there's some fun stuff from you guys already, though. Is that a gun? This is like a Gundam inspired character. Yeah, mech pilot. Nice. Okay, all right. So I see Nixie has been working with the style reference from Lolo as well, and you could just see how much it just oozes his style of predominant greens and oranges. It's just a nice complementary, color palette there. I just like it. As soon as I saw it, actually, it stands out compared to others too. So it's just really cool to have Lolo here as well. But I want to find the result that I had asked for here. So let's scroll on up, see what we get. Okay. All right. So what did we do here again? Okay, yeah. I'd removed everything except for just the fact that it was version 6.1. And you could see it basically just gets us the alternate angles to this moment, right? So it's very easy for us to retain this, but I do definitely want to get this character standing up and moving around this spaceship. I know I'm pretty basically failing at doing that right now. So let's go ahead and see. I'll get the fourth one here. You'll find me oftentimes like just keep going, like keep iterating, and not really like double back a ton. And this is just because like I try to keep it moving, you know. But let's go ahead and select this entire lower panel here, okay, and say let's just say that this is multiple panels depicting floating in a spaceship here. I want to try because chaos didn't work out for us last time. I think we should probably use a character reference and maybe get him off the ground doing that. So instead of doing this in paint really quick, I'm actually going to take this image, okay, and use the snipping tool on my computer. But you can use anything. You could even save it on your phone and then crop the image down to just the character. But I'm going to just copy this little segment of this guy here, okay, with his broken, he's got some cracks in his face, which is kind of interesting. But let's go ahead and do vary region. Ooh, I actually need to paste the link first because I don't have the image of him alone. So let's go ahead and paste this. Now I'll have just a close-up of his face. I am going to hit copy image address in order to copy that image here. And then we have two choices. I can use that as a character reference right off the bat, but the reality is that he's probably going to be sleepy-eyed and tired the entire time if I try to do that. So we need to get a version of him where he's standing up, where he's doing things, okay? So let's try this. I'm going to do slash imagine, and then I'm going to say full body turnaround. Ooh. And then I'm going to do hyphen hyphen cref in order to paste the link. This is for a character reference. And then I'm going to set the aspect ratio a bit wide. So let's do AR32. There are profiles that will help promote character turnarounds. You can see that Ancient is already working on one of them here. So, there's nothing wrong with coming up here and saying, you know what? Yeah, that looks like a good profile. Let's go ahead and use that. And then I'm just going to paste that into here, and we'll see what it does. Not compatible with Niji. Okay, so let's go ahead and copy this. Slash imagine again. And then I have to get rid of Niji because this profile code is not compatible with it. So let's see here. It is only compatible with Niji. Okay, so let's do Niji 6. And there you go. We'll see what this does. We want to actually describe the character because it's going to infer a good amount of stuff, but not everything we need for this character, just based on the image here. You can see he's even kind of sleepy with his character turnaround here. So let's go ahead and do a negative prompt on sleep, and also try to get this a little more full body here. So let's do a lower character weight as well. So let's do hyphen no and then sleep, and then or we could even say tired or anything else that kind of hints away from. If we say no tired, he might be like wide-eyed and like really jacked. But let's do no sleep. And I'm going to drop the character weight just a little bit, CW, to like 75. Just to see if we can get him to open up his eyes and, retain most of his face. But I'm curious what will we get off of this. Superhero pirates? Why are you guys talking about superhero pirates? No tired. Completely wheelless. Yes. No tires. Let's see. Did I write no tires? I probably did. Knowing me, I probably did. We got him walking around the spaceship. Okay, all right, awesome. This was from Nixie, and this is starting off right off the bat with the prompts that we had earlier, like the parameters. But they wrote a completely new prompt for it, which is the right way to do it. But it is certainly true that look that we even got the body floating in the fourth result here. That's really cool. But yeah, here's the result with the character weights changed here. So we see that he is definitely awake. His eyes are open. He is not tired anymore. He probably looks a little tired, but he's not asleep anymore. That's the important thing. And I'm not really too happy with the full body on that second one there, so I'm actually going to up-res the third result here. We really want to get a back view as well, so I'm going to go with that third one. We're going to in-paint the rest of this here. So let's first do a vary region. And I don't really like how the color tone is kind of split with this line here, so I'm also going to select that line in his face and get rid of that. Let's just get rid of the chin entirely, actually, because I don't really like that gray that's there. Makes him look kind of cyborg. But I will go ahead and grab his lower half here too. And basically, the only thing I'm doing here is I'm saying I don't like this. I want this to change. So let's change his chest piece as well, because I'm just curious what else we get. And then I'm going to hit submit. And if we really want this to change, then we start to get rid of things. We have the character referencing parameter, for example. We might have to, depending on how this how it performs. Yeah, I mean there's let's go ahead and remove the character reference because I think it's kind of distorting the anatomy a bit here. And then we have to get rid of the character weight if we do that. So let's do that as well. Okay. These are really cool, by the way, guys. I really dig it. I know that with the theme being March of the Machines, we're not really doing robots or anything like that. I I'm I'm kind of doing that on purpose, guys. Robots are kind of hell when it comes to continuity, particularly because we've talked about the scrap metal effect before. When you ask for scrap metal, it's what kind of metal? We don't really know what you say when you say, "Hey, I want a scrap metal robot." It's like, is it well, like just the composition of it can be anything from random junk to intention shapes and designs, and it's still a rusty robot, right? So it's just a lot harder to hone in what you want when it comes to robots in particular. So we'll see how close we get when it comes to like more of the Gundam mech stuff. I think will be a little more reliable, but for now, we're gonna go for general sci-fi. Maybe more of a existential dread as opposed to big fights or nothing. But look at this. All right, so now that we've gotten rid of the character reference here, it let us break out of the constraints and the distortions that were happening earlier. And I really do like the second one and the fourth one. I'm gonna go with the second one here. I am junk. Look, yeah, look at the comparison here of all the different kinds of junk robots, right? It's just the continuity of Rust alone is really, really tough. It just becomes a texture or a pattern, and that pattern gets randomized in a way. So it's like, it's so hard. But yeah, we'll keep going here. And we definitely have a sort of like cut color. I'm trying to remember the exact name of this. This color gamma sort of like colorama. That's the word. This colorama effect of where there's all these slices to the colors, and I'm not a big fan of that. So let's go ahead and do a variation subtle. And I'm not going to change anything. I'm just gonna say, hey, let's see what this does. Variation subtle will preserve the composition of whatever you're working on, while variation strong will allow that composition to change. So basically, the characters will always be in the same positions, but the details or the context of those positions are then changed. And you can see that now that we have the character reference gone, the character no longer looks like the character we had before. So we will just go back and include our character as a reference. So let's just grab our character reference really quick. I think is this the CREF here? Yes, let's go with a different one here. I just want to find the original. Yes, this one here. Okay, here's the character reference we had before. Oops. I'm going to copy that link. And now I'm going to go all the way down. And we are going to re-roll that result that we had before, but replacing that link. So you can see this is the overtly anime version that we got. Let's go ahead and now hit variation subtle. And because I have remix mode on, it lets me edit the prompt. So if you do not see this pop-up window whenever you hit reroll or variation, that means you don't have remix mode on. And just hit slash settings to turn that on. But what I'm going to do is now do hyphen cref and then include our character reference here. I could drop the character weight pretty significantly because the character referencing is crazy strong. It's the thing that we talk about the most here is kind of balancing the strength of character reference versus your intent of what you want to do. So if the reference doesn't include the intent, then you're going to probably drop the weight of the character reference. So if your character is not like if you want your character running at full speed, right, and your character is just standing there in the reference, you're far more likely going to have to lower the weight of that reference in order to get the character to be running in the way you imagine them running. And then you can always in paint details at a higher reference point or a higher reference weight after that. So it makes sense to kind of wax on, wax off that stuff, you know. But what we're going to do here is take a look at what happened now that we've included the character reference, and he's back. Yay, he's back. He's still a little tired, but I think this is perfectly fine. I'm gonna go with the fourth result here, and look at him. Look at him being just being a bit of a curmudgeon, little tired, little done with this shit kind of attitude. Sorry for the cursing, but yes, that he looks done with it. So let's go ahead and use this as the reference now. Because he's standing up, he's doing things, blah, blah, blah. I can finally go back to my original comic that I had here. So scroll on back. Okay, there it was. Okay, so I just want to find the one that I upresed. It should be just below this. Where are you? There it is. I'm going to do very region. And then I'm going to let's do multiple compacts to him floating, finding a floating body in a spaceship. Now I'm going to hit --cref, paste that reference. This is the reference of the full body turnaround that we just made, and I'm going to now include the entire lower half of this comic here. And now let's see if that lets us break out of the sleepy time results that we had before. Ooh, something went wrong. Let's see. --cref. Okay, that's in there. Let's submit it again. Sometimes things get buggy. Yep, there we go. It went through. And I already see that you guys have made a couple complimentary comics using the style reference, and that's really what this is all about when it comes to collaborating. The parameters that let you collaborate are style referencing and mood boards. And we'll get into mood boards next. Oh, look what it did here. It just extended his body. Interesting. Okay, yeah, and that makes sense because the character reference is just kind of dominating this result here. Okay. So we at least we have the full body, but it would not work for in painting this because it's just going to extend his body size here. It makes so much more sense to do what Nixie did up here. So let's go with that. Let's see, not this one. Is that little? Are those mice? Look at the little space mice. You got mice, sir. And then they're all just like full like they're like alien invaders on a spaceship. That'd be fun. I got space mice, and they're just perfectly sentient alien races. We just call them space mice because they look like human, like mice from Earth, right? It kind of has the raccoon character from Marvel problem. But let me come up to here. I want to find the one that Nixie was working on here. Yeah, the one with that body that was floating there. Let's see where it is. Hey, Snoopy, good to see you. There it is. Okay, so now let's try this. Let's do a very region, and let's go ahead and get rid of all the stuff that doesn't match this character. So like the glasses, right? I'll just generally select where the head is here. Let's go ahead and get rid of these glasses. Okay. And he's got about that hair. So let's go ahead and select that. And now we can use the character reference that we had built to in-paint those corrections of the character design. And the way Nixie made this was by describing what they wanted, a bit better than I did when it comes to what is in the actual panels. So multiple comic panels depicting him exploring his cyber-based spaceship. He turns the corner, stopping suddenly, discovering a floating body horizontally past the hallway in far distance. Senses heightened. Ooh, I like that. It really does help to go above and beyond what you're describing when you're trying to evoke like comic panels or multiple events happening at the same time, because it at some point it'll find a way to correlate or visualize what you're asking for, and the more you give it in order to get you that moment, to capture at least one panel from that moment, the better. So that was really smart to do. I think you did a great job with that prompt, actually. But what I want to see from here is what happens with this character reference that we included. So let's take a look. All right. And by including the character reference, look at that. He no longer has glasses and he has proper ears. So let's do the third one here. I wish I could just negative prompt me being tired. That would be amazing. Am I freaking Frankenstein here? Look at this. Wow, that's awesome. Who did this? Let's see. Bert. Bert at it again. I'm being manipulated by a tech priest, and that's referencing what I'm going to get into here in a minute. But yes, a tech priest is making modifications to my body. Ooh, spooky. But now I'm just going to inpate the little corrections that are still off about this character, like the weird neon or fluorescent eyebrows. Like I just imagine that when he's walking forward, they're like headlights and they shine, but when he's moving backwards, they just beep beep and blink on his head. Man, that's dumb. Okay, I'm gonna keep going. Let's inpaint these stupid eyebrows out of here. And also correct this eye that has a little bit of cyborgism to it. Um, all right, that seems pretty good. I want to get rid of this little bit of the chin here. Um, yeah, that should be good. Let's submit that. So we are in painting with character reference now to kind of retain this scene. Um, a multiple comment where she spills her French Canadian bean soup on a lady. sorry, that got me there. But yes, please. I want to see which old lady you end up going with on that. Okay, all right. So we made corrections here, and they're all very subtle now because it's pretty zoomed out. But I think the third one will be fine. I think we're just mostly looking if we could see the cheek at all, and we do see a bit. I'll go with the second one. There's a little less cheek on that one. Okay. All right, sweet. All right, I do like this character. I do like where this is going. But I'm curious what this sort of imagery evokes. Look, there's a pistol. There's a pistol floating in the air too. That is awesome. It looks like a revolver to me. It looks like a revolver is floating in the air. So let's go ahead and lean on that. I love it when Midjourney inspires little stories. So let's go ahead and do multiple comics depicting him finding yes, depicting him finding a floating revolver, finding a spontaneously levitating, levitating revolver. I cannot. It's the lag that's causing me spelling error. Sorry. Spontaneously levitating revolver, uh, with bullet casings floating around it. Something happened, guys, and he was asleep. Let's just put it that way. That would be impossibly loud, or like it would be very, very loud to have a gunshot go off inside of a spaceship. Like you, it's so quiet otherwise. But because we have the character reference still in there, it may not work as we intend to. It'll very much feature him, so we might need to get rid of the character reference. See what this does. Mecha Bear. It's the Mecha Bear. It's Russia's ultimate invention, the Mecha Bear. Okay. And then there's gonna be the Alaskan one, and they're gonna be like go to head, and we just watch robot bear fights all day. That's the future. Okay. So, all right. So this is what it's like with the character reference. Oh, look, he's kind of holding a little miniature gun that we could expand the size of if we liked that. I'm not a big fan of this composition, but I love the diversity that we're getting off of these. This is why like it's always a good idea to only change one parameter or one setting or one even just one word in your prompt at a time. You're gonna get far more control. But I will say it's rather tedious if you do that constantly. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna get rid of the character reference. That'll be step one. Did I hear fighting floating French Canadian bean soup? Yes, Snoopy is going to be spilling bean soup on old ladies. Look at that. Delicious bean soup. I'll be curious to see what Lola's been up to as well, but I'm just gonna try to get us through this character reference here. Okay, okay, cool. So we see that there's a gun kind of held to his head, which would be interesting if they like he found the gun with no bullets, and then somebody else is holding another one, right, and just like holding it to his neck, and there's like a revolt or something that happened on the spaceship, but. I'm not really happy with any of these panels, but we have so much more diversity, which is really exciting. So let's go ahead and just re-roll this a bunch. I'm also going to remove the negative weight on this. So no superhero, no orange. I'm curious if that helps us get us what we want. Just because negative prompts are so limiting, they do limit the result quite heavily. I like this orange door that the character's coming in and out of. That's fun. I like that one. Okay. All right. Okay, so it seemed like with no superhero and no we definitely got our big dominative characters back, and I think this is from the style reference. So I'm going to leave that negative prompt on there. I think because it's definitely making more relatable comic like humanly scaled proportions. With this one, I actually, you know what? I really do like this second one here because the way that he's talking in it is interesting to me. He's kind of like looking at it, going like, "Oh, like okay, so there's this guy here. So now I'm going to inpaint the revolver floating right here. So it's kind of like he's looking at it and maybe saying something here. So let's go ahead and do that. Very region, and then I'm going to say him finding a spontaneous. Let's focus on just the revolver. So spontaneously levitating revolver, and I'm not even going to worry about the bullet casings. We can always inpaint those afterward. And now I'm just going to highlight this entire section of the comic right here. Okay, kind of just imagining a somewhat tipped vertical revolver in the air here. So let's just submit this and see what we get. If we still don't get it, then removing the style reference, because there's already so much input for the style that's already in this image, we don't actually need it anymore. So we can get rid of the style reference too. And remember, if we ever need any of these components again, we just scroll back up and grab them. But let's see if we were able to. Okay, so the style reference did not allow for or just we did not get the rifle there. So let's see, or the revolver. Let's see if we were able to do it without the style reference. Okay, no, it just saw it as kind of a panel break there. That's fine. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna hop ourselves back up. Get very region. And first, I want to make sure I'm pretty like I have a good amount of clearance here in terms of room for me to in painting. So I want to make sure this whole area here is going to change. But now I am going to include chaos because we keep getting just an empty room, right? So if we apply chaos, it will allow for more randomness, more nonsensical, maybe non-cohesive or non-contingent things. The best example I can give you, or a great use case for chaos, is if you want to have your character have a third eye, right? Because so much of the imagery is going to be leaning towards two-eyed people that if you up the chaos and then inpaint and just say eye, you're far more likely to get an eye in that place because it's going to ignore a lot of the beautification of making that now suddenly two eyes. Okay, so we could see that because we inpainted some of the hand, the revolver is actually in his hand, or it's like trying to be in his hand here. So let's get his hand back in there. Because it'll go for the path of least resistance. That's probably a good way to describe it too. But we can hop ourselves back up to the prompt here and include his hand again here because I think that's causing us a little bit of issue here. There we go. Okay. And if I really want to, I could do some cartooniness to it by applying Niji6 to it to try to just get us an illustrated gun there. And then maybe do some in painting with V6 again in order to give us a three-dimensional form on that. But if you look here, you guys are already nailing what my next thing was going to do, which was I was just going to prompt the gun and then use the gun as a character reference. That's a great idea too. So we'll upres the fourth one from Nixie here for now, and get that saved here. Sweet. Okay. Oh, neat. You guys are already doing variations. Nice. All right. Let's see if we got it here at all. I do not see it. I definitely see him kind of like, approaching it. That would be interesting, but I'm going to move on from here. Let's go ahead and now grab this gun. We're going to grab this gun. Let's do it. Let's just grab this gun. And I'm going to grab the revolver. I found the revolver in the back room, in the kitchen. It would be fun to play Clue with you guys actually, but let's go ahead and get this gun. We have a link to it now, so I'll grab the link and let's just in paint that gun as a character reference. I have played VR chat a couple times, a couple times, and one of my characters is just a gun. It's just a gun. It's just just a pistol, and whenever you talk, the gun reloads. So it's really funny because it's just constantly reloading, about to point at people. I have way too much fun with that costume. But let's keep the prompt the same, but we're gonna do --c ref and then paste our gun into there. And I'm gonna get rid of the negative prompts because I don't want more variables here. And then get rid of chaos too. Let's see what we get. Let's see if we get that gun floating this time. It's gonna really fight me on this, isn't it? Yeah, I come up with a dumb idea of like revolvers in space, and then suddenly like now my stream is dedicated to just getting this stupid revolver into this one in paint here. I can do it traditionally, and I know how to do this way faster, but I'm gonna be determined here. Let's go ahead and in paint his hand again here, just because the fact that the gun is in the shot here, like in his hand, is enough to really make it distracting here. So let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to in paint a good chunk of area here. Spontaneously levitate revolver. I'm going to do now a forced perspective of spontaneously levitate. A forced perspective, at least in film and entertainment, is like where you're forcing the person to seem like they're a giant or they're really small comparatively to something else. It's a camera lens trick, and it's a really good way to tell Midjourney, hey, I want you to focus on the damn gun. So forced perspective of spontaneously levitated revolver, and then I'll put a gun in there too. Why not? Just gun. And let's submit this as is, but I'm also going to lower the character weight a bit there, just so we get a little bit of flexibility on the fact that there is a little bit of fingers or hands in the reference image, which is enough to put the gun in his hand every time. So I'm going to just drop the character weight to 60 and then see what we get with this gun. Nope, didn't work on that one. Let's see if the next one got it. If not, if this doesn't get it, then guess what? We're gonna composite it in there. I'm liking more Lolo comics. Yeah, dystopian comic, nice. Let's see. Did it? Okay, it is rendering. Let's see if that gun got in there. If not, then I'll just pick one that has a nice clean background to indicate the gun. Okay, yeah, we did not get the revolver, but that's fine. What we're gonna do is we're going to upres the third result because it has a clean flat background that we can use. Okay, and we could go farther when it comes to the in-painting of what this stuff is here, but what I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna upscale this, and then we are gonna do this inside of Photoshop Beta to get the last bit here. I'm curious if I actually in-paint whatever this shoulder dot thing is that's dominating the result here. I'm curious if I can get it to where it's just kind of like a close up of a gun. So it's like, say, hey, here's this, and here's this section here. I'm gonna include all of this actually, and let's just run this and see what we get. Because sometimes when it comes to like justifying, especially shadows and dark shapes, it can be really tough for it to go, oh, okay, yeah, yeah. See, it is forcing the hand into the gun, so that's definitely, I think, a factor in all this. So we'll see. We might need to change the character reference for the gun. It is funny to always to consider a gun a character though. But we could see that the gun is definitely like almost like it's being pointed at him, right? Which is understandable. I mean, that you would think, oh, revolver, blah blah blah. But what we need to do is we need to kind of fix this composition a little bit here. So let's go ahead and do that with changing the character reference entirely. So watch this. This is pretty important, at least for understanding some of the characteristics of CREF without really getting into like too much detail now. So let's go ahead and grab the gun again. We're gonna grab the gun again. But this time I'm going to quickly open it inside of Photoshop. And the reason I am doing that is because I need to change the orientation of this gun. Right now it's very much like as if it's being pointed down at somebody, right? So first thing I'll do is I'll go to image rotate, and we are going to rotate this 90 degrees. Let's do 180. I want it to be pointing upward. Convert, rotate, edit, transform, flip vertically. That's fine. And I want to get rid of the fingers because the fingers are definitely affecting the result here. So let's go ahead and get rid of this. So no fingers. Now, Photoshop's really bad at this, so I'm curious if we are able to just do it off of that. But most of the time, you have to really go out of your way for Photoshop Beta to do what you want it to do. Okay, so that works, I guess. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to not have fingers. So it's that actually that angle is awful. That no gun is angled like that. So let's go ahead and re-angle that really quick. Something like this. Okay. It's not perfect still, but I'm going to now in-paint whatever's wrong and just say, hey, try again. Just right here. Try again. I'm going to say that it's, in order to stay within the March of the Machines theme, I'm going to say that there's a robot uprising on the spaceship. Let's just do that. And the gun that's floating was them trying to kill the robot before it was coming to them or something, right? So okay, now I have the gun. Okay, it's corrected, and I did that very quickly by just changing some part of the image and then in painting wherever the jagged edges are, using Photoshop Beta. It's super super handy, by the way. We and the fact that there's a little bit of smoke coming off of it. Look at the 0G. Look at the 0G effect of like the smoke of the gun. It's, to me, that's what this would look like. It is just awesome, awesome, neat. Okay, so let's go ahead and copy this now modified image. I'm gonna bring that into Midjourney now, and so we're in VC Create here. I'm just gonna paste that image into VC Create, so we get a link. Okay. Oops. I opened up someone's flower prompts. There we go. Okay, so now we have the gun facing an entirely different direction. Okay. And I see that there's some other cool stuff happening here from Nixie. I'm very excited to see the rest of these stuff that you're doing here. But what I'm going to do now, though, is I'm going to go to my in paint here. Let's do the very region. Yeah, it's probably higher up that I did that. Yeah. It's probably this one. Yes, this is fine. So now I'm going to replace our CREF link with the link of the gun now pointed vertically. I'm going to get rid of Niji because that didn't seem to do much. And we'll just run it as is and see what we get off of that. I'm curious how well this goes because we're clearly not having a gun reference that is yeah, okay, cool. Yeah, we got it. We got it. Sweet. Okay. So you can see that the gun completely dominates. This is the showing off the power of C-Rev, really. It overlaps the comic panels entirely. So it's completely taking over for what was in the SREF. So let's go ahead and just do a little bit of a difference here. I'm going to get rid of this box down here, and I'm just going to leave a little chunk of it, just a little bit of it, so that it knows, oh, there's still a panel here. So let's do this. And then I'll leave this little square right here. I think that'll be fine. And hopefully it just kind of invades or it has both sides of the panel there. So let's see what we get. Yes. Yes. This is what I wanted. Okay. So now he's kind of like inspecting the gun. He can, maybe he can tell that there's smoke rolling out of it here, So what I'm going to do is, well, for now, I'm just going to upres the fourth result. I highly recommend that when you guys are doing this yourselves on your own time, that you're re-rolling things, right? That you're trying to, find that good initial image. But this is enough for me to go, yes. We have a gun with no hand in the holster. Like, you can clearly see that there's no hand holding it, which is exactly what I want because now I can inpaint the rest of this panel here and try to get the exact same sort of composition that's already featured inside of this image and see if we can get it to kind of flip around a little bit. This would be also a scenario where after I actually edit this into a comic and I start doing construction, I actually mirror one of these two panels because it's a bit jarring for the audience unless they see the gun floating over his face to the other side for the camera to go from screen left to screen or stage left to stage right. So let's see what we get off of this here. All right. Just give it a moment to render here. There's an anime about a train ride that Kinky's character is reminding me of right now. It's a little bit of Asuka, whatever her name is from Evangelion. A little bit of her I see, but I'm reminded of Star Train something or another. It's an anime from the 80s. Let's see here. I would have to look it up. Enid's character gone sci-fi, just dancing around. That's fun. Okay, all right. Let's see if we were able to get this at all. Okay, so this is a perfect scenario where I would probably just inpaint the gun at this point. So let's go ahead and save one of these. We have a bunch of like particulates floating around, which could be useful for kind of evoking what we want to do. So let's go for the first one. Her main purpose is sci-fi. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, this is really cool. This is definitely getting there. Um, Love it. Galaxy Express 999. Thank you so much for looking that up for me, Ancient. That is indeed what it is. I remember catching that on like in my brother's bedroom when we were like 9 years old or something like that, and I was like, "What is this? This is so weird. Why is there a train in space? Why?" It's like the whole thing was just so fascinating to me. And I would not that long after that watch a movie that I would adore later on, like that I would just keep thinking of again and again, which is Slumberland. Hold on a second, let me grab that one here. Adventures in Slumberland, I think. Um, Let me just pull up the proper title here. Oh, they made a remake, didn't they? Ugh. Ugh. I don't like that they made a remake. Um, yeah, I want the original. Little Nemo. That's it. Little Nemo. Yep. Little Nemo's Adventures in Slumberland. Absolutely fantastic movie. It's this movie right here. I'll copy the uh, if it'll let me. this is gonna let me copy this image? No, it's. I'll just link to the IMDb. You guys can watch it on your own time at some point, I bet. But Little Nemo: Adventures in Slumberland is just such a fantastically imaginative movie. It is just so fascinating, and it's one of those movies that I would definitely be referencing later on, just because it has that timelessness for me. Okay, so highly reading the original comics. Yeah, yeah. I recognize that the movie is not. It also doesn't hold a candle to the original comics too. So I'll have to check that out. I really should actually. I'm surprised I haven't already. But at this point, we have our upres panel here. I just want to see if we were able to. No, okay. I just want to get our upres one here because we're going to start doing the construction here. Okay. Let's copy this. Okay. And now we are going to, we already have our revolver in Photoshop, so I'm going to just borrow that. Okay. So let's open up that. Boom. Here's that. I have the image here of the comic not upresed. So I'm not going to worry about upresing with this stream, but I would recommend upresing all your results before you really get into editing them, because you're going to be like kind of bummed out that you could have had a higher resolution comic afterward. But for now, this is just fine because we are working with some smaller images. I'll just leave it like this. So we have this gun here. I definitely want to make sure the gun looks like it's correctly floating in place and kind of makes sense to the composition that's here. This is where we're going to get into a little bit of the Photoshop tutorial for some of you guys here. I will note that whenever I get into the Photoshop stage of any of this stuff, there's an immediate drop off. So I promise we'll be getting back into Midjourney here in a minute. But what I'm going to do is I'm first going to cycle through blending modes just to see if I can get rid of the green without having to do much of anything. So let's just cycle through these here. You can see I was able to get rid of the green with darker color alone. That's really good. But let's keep going. And I'm just trying to get rid of the background as my starting point here. Okay, yes. So pin light. Pin light looked like it did it really well, and it's preserving much of this background here. So now, now that I have pin light, I can go back to normal, and we are going to make a copy of this gun. Let's copy it, and then I'm going to use object selection to grab the actual gun itself. And this will let us get a marquee around the gun. So now I'll just hit mask, and that creates a mask around the gun, and now it basically just floats there. And we could work with this by itself, you know, and just have this mask be, you know, by itself here. But what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to turn that layer back on, make sure it's switched to pin light. Okay. Pin light. Come on, pin light. There you are. Okay, here. And then get rid of the background. Sorry. Get rid of... No, I put the wrong one on pin light. The background needs to be... this one needs to be pin light. There we go. Pin light. And you can see it retained a lot more of the dusting and floating particulates because that's in the pin lighted layer. And now what I can do is... I can basically just rotate this around and find a good spot for it. And we can see the gun's kind of pointed away and to his right. So let's do that. Let's just get this floating here and then have it be something like here. I think that's pretty good. That's pretty cool. We probably want this to be a little bit more like here, something like that. Yeah, that's looking good. That's looking fun. And so at this point, we can see that the pin light, it did overshadow his speech bubble here, which is fine. We can always use the masking tool here. So we'll just go ahead and hit mask on this and then switch to a black brush. Right now we're on 40. That's good. And I usually want to put a little bit of hardness. I want to drop that to about 18 or so that when I do start painting the mask back in, which is going to simply remove every part of this this gun that has the pin light there, It basically it lets us compartmentalize what part of the image we're editing and why. Okay, so we're just getting rid of the green that's back here. It is covering up that speech bubble though. So I can now go to that bottom layer here, highlight that speech bubble, and basically just say gen fill without writing anything. And if you don't write anything on there, then what's going to happen is it just takes a look at the rest of the image and goes, does this make sense? Does this what is the path of least resistance to create what a cleaner image than what's here shown here, to fill in the gap? So right, and that's what's so good about this is that I can now just cycle through and pick whichever one of these like little quick fixes makes the most sense for me. So I like this a lot here. I think this is starting to look good. And I could totally see some kind of like smart ass sort of statement here. Okay, so it's something like let's just in paint here and say like a speech bubble that reads, well, that ain't good. That ain't a good sign. We could probably come up with a much better line, but I'm gonna just write this speech bubble that reads, well, that ain't a good sign. And we're doing this in Photoshop beta, but you can do the same thing in Midjourney just fine. I just wanted to composite that gun in there in a way that I was familiar with. All right. You can see here that, well, that's got a good Gottgeschehen. Okay, and you can see that Photoshop beta is really bad at this, particularly. But I do like the idea of this sort of white text on this. So let's save this here. Okay, I'm going to save this, and you'll see why. We're going to save this, export as a PNG. Let's go to desktop, and I'm going to save this as, we need a name for him, by the way. Let's see, Nixie. Nixie, I want you to think, if you got a second, think up a name for this dude. I know Lolo. We're bouncing off of Lolo's work here, but I because you inspired the revolver thing too. I'm inclined to go with whatever name you want for this dude. But for now, I'm just gonna call him. I'm just gonna say that this is the Revolver comic. Okay. And then we will switch ourselves back over to Midjourney here. And what's cool about this is that I now have an ungodly number of images that I need to go through. But when it comes to look at the sexy GLaDOS. Oh my god, this is amazing. Is this gonna be kinky as GLaDOS? Because you could totally do that. You could totally throw Kinky's OC into that though. You could just say, oh, it's a new character. I'm just saying you could. Okay, cool. Oh, look at the pink spaceships. I know this is Enid from a mile away. Yep. I will say this. I will say this though. It's there was one thing that Enid made me laugh out loud when she said was we were trying to figure out different things for her character to say in one of the comics, and I was just like, what you just said is a perfect insult. What is it? What is your brain engraved in bubblegum? I just thought that was such a great insult. So goofy. But let's go ahead and hop ourselves now. We've been using the Discord version of Midjourney, the Midjourney bot, this whole time. And there's one feature that's on the website that if you have 10,000 images or you bought the annual subscription for Midjourney, you have access to this right now. But we're going to use the custom edit feature in order to bring the image that the external editing feature in order to bring the image that we had just composited in Photoshop and bring it into back into Midjourney here. So I will open up Tablet here, and then we will find the Midjourney client that I have open right here. Okay. I have the Midjourney installed onto my computer actually using the Chrome extension installer thing. So it's like basically if it's a Chrome website, you can install it as an app, and it just gets rid of like the top bar URL. It gives me more dedicated screen real estate to Midjourney, and it's amazing for the streams. So I definitely recommend doing that. Just installing the website. It's not even anyway. I'm going to get into nerdy nitpicky terms there, but let's go ahead and hit edit. And then I'm going to say upload image. And then We will now find our revolver comic here. Revolver. There we go. And we're just going to let this edit. There is a pretty strict content filter that's on this, but so we may run into some problems because there is such a prominent gun in the image, but we'll see what the moderation tool does for those. But what we're going to do now is, because I already have that speech bubble in there, I can just expand the canvas a little bit. Let's go ahead and rewrite over this. Okay, it's not going to rewrite anything outside the boundary box of whatever I am in painting. Unlike Photoshop, which has a much more generous marquee area that you don't even see. Midjourney is perfect because there is no like feathering. There's at least not any major feathering between what we in paint here. So I know that it's going to look at these fine lines of this speech bubble and go, yes, let's continue this. So now I'm just going to describe what I want the speech bubble to say. So let's say speech bubble that reads, well, that's not a good sign. And then I'll hit submit on that. And if we turn on Niji, if we have style references, we can change the look of the speech bubbles, the text of the speech bubbles. Half the time I just write handwritten font. Like, I want a speech bubble in a handwritten font, and it just looks legit. There's no real problem with it after that. So, well, that's not a good sign. The first one's perfect. Like, look how bad Photoshop did earlier, and now this is just perfect on the first go. So I'm just gonna see. Well, that's not a good. Well, that's not good. Not God sign. Yeah, that's not a good sign. Let's go with that one. Well, that's not a good sign. And we kind of want the speech bubble maybe pointed a little more at him, right? So I'm going to just retry this one really quick here. And let's say that he's speaking as well. So let's open up his mouth here. Because we have to evoke him opening his mouth, right? We have to actually take into account the shadow underneath his chin as well. Okay, so we're going to in-paint all of this area down here and say he is speaking with a speech bubble that reads, well, that's not a good sign. It would be funny if this was a Simpsons joke, by the way. The gun would be prepared. They would say that's not a good sign, and then there would be a literal sign pointed at the gun saying it's not good. Just something like that, just some dumb joke. But let's see what we get off of this here. We got a better tail on the speech bubble with one of these, but I'm going to go with this one here. And we could go farther. We could say, hey, I want to in-paint a specific like mouth shape on him, right? I'm just gonna increase the chaos in this and say he has an open mouth. Open mouth. He is speaking. Well, that's not a good sign. And then let's do a little bit of chaos. We'll just add 5 to it and go from there. All right, let's see what we got. Okay, yeah, we got him talking there. Perfect. Oh, okay, yeah, there we go. So do we want less teeth or more teeth or a little more gum? I'm gonna go with this one here. That's good. Let's upscale this one. Upscale to gallery. Hey, and the content moderator didn't knock us at all. That's great. Awesome. Okay, and of course I'm obsessed with black speech bubbles with white text. I'm sorry that I have been told by a couple of people it's not that if you felt like this, you wouldn't be the first to say that it's not as legible. But I always have dark mode on with everything. This is how I read. It's how I read. But yeah, it's certainly true that for some folks the white text on black background is a little straining on the eyes. People use light mode. I know, right? They're monsters. And if you're one of those people, guess what? You're a monster. Okay, let's take a look at this. Marcus? Oh, let's go with that. Yeah, Marcus is a good name. Thank you, Nixie. Is that being a photo bombed or flash banged? Yeah, flash banged. Let's see. Yep, yep, that cat's getting flashbanged. It is certainly true though. It would literally trigger migraines when I played Counter Strike, and I was wondering why I would get headaches playing Counter Strike, and then realize, oh, it's the damn flash bombs. Damn it. Uh, I think if you turn on seizure mode in Counter Strike, by the way, it actually like lessens the like there's definitely a setting to make the flash bang not as bad anymore. But let's see, what did you write here? What's in the speech bubble? Yes, I am the captain, but you can call me Marcus. There you go. Awesome. Our character now has a name. That's great. This would be like before everything went to shit, right? So I like the second one though, and I see you've already upres that. Perfect. Now you have a front and a side. You just needed someone for him to talk to. You know what? You know who he should. You know who should be the murderer? Who should be the murderer on this ship? It should be Lolo. Let's make Lolo the murderer. Let's find Lolo's OC because it was inside the SREF here. I'm just gonna scroll us on up. There it is here. I think this is it. Nope, that's a car. Let's go. We have to go up pretty good. Is this it? This should be it. Yeah. Okay. Cool. All right. So we have a guy with like a robot mask, right? This sort of metal mask here. So what I'm gonna do is I'm actually going to copy this image. Lolo, if you have your character reference good to go, I don't actually have it myself. So I know you posted it at some point here, but I can't find it. So if you do have it, feel free to share it. But what I'm gonna do next is I am going to in paint your character. Okay, yes, yes. Okay, here. Awesome. Thank you. Oop, I need to go back. I need to copy that link and then open it up in a different tab. There we go. It'll be faster by just including it. All right, cool, awesome, thank you. And let's just grab that character reference here. And now we will paste his character reference, replacing this one here, okay? And I'm just gonna in paint right into here and say that this is a robot assistant. Okay. Character weight 75. I'm gonna make sure there's no hoodie because I don't want that outfit. No hoodie. And we're just going to say robot assistant. Oh, there probably is an overlap here. I probably included a parameter. Let's see. No hoodie. Yep. Oh, okay. I've included two negatives. So I have to get rid of this one and then add hoodie to the superhero one down here. And then it should work. Aha. If you have trouble getting compositions where two characters are talking to each other, right? Then all the thing you got to do is ask for like a film or a cinematic of some sort, and it will more likely do that composition. So it looks like that's what we're gonna have to do here. Yeah, may I say I love your combination of profiles. Oh yeah. Let's go ahead and now jump us back up to here and do this in paint again. Very region. And I'm going to say that a man is talking to his robot assistant, and that these are multiple comic panels depicting a sci-fi film. I know that sounds weird to do, but sci-fi film, anything movie, film, frame, that kind of thing is more likely to give you a higher quality image because it's going to be like the refined image. But as soon as you ask for anything with motion, speed, action, sports, that kind of stuff, guess what? Motion blur becomes a factor. So it's understand that when you ask for action things, you have to do negative prompts for motion blur and other things that may murk up your image result. And it looks like we're not really getting a great result with Lolo's OC links that we have here, which is fine. We can make this work. I'm actually going to start without the character reference then and just get a generic robot assistant to be talking to there. Not worry about the character reference at all because it is screwing up a little bit also because there is a humanoid already in the frame. So instead we are just going to now remove all of this character reference entirely and then just hit submit without any reference to Lolo's character at first. This is actually an opportunity of where an entirely written out prompt version of your character is super essential because it lets you get a generic puppet of your character and then throw it in there. So we're gonna see how this works. If we're able to get some chit chatting going on, the film prompt should be encouraging that. So we'll see what we get. I actually need a bit of a breather. Kinky, do you want to do some announcements?
Sure thing. Hello, everybody. I was hoping that I might be able to invite you guys to come down to Prompt Battles this weekend, where we will be playing the game of Prompt Battles. Imagine that. We do minutes to prompt, then we do 2 minutes to post our images into a poll unit, and then we all vote on that poll unit, and whoever comes forward victorious gets to choose the next prompt. And the next prompt uh, is up to you for us to do. Um, you get to be super creative in all different kinds of ways that you wouldn't have expected. You get to meet new people and you get to win loads of free fast hours. You can also get free fast hours just for participating if you don't have any confidence in yourself, but I don't see why because I'm sure you're amazing. Um, but we'd love to see you. We'd love to have you down there. And it is literally right in the room below uh, here called Prompt Battles. Let me give you the links to the chat or to the event, and I'll put those in the VC text. We do it on Saturday and Sunday, and then we on Saturday we do it later in the afternoon from 3:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. and then we do it on Sunday from 10 a.m. to 6. Oh, okay, I got all mixed up there. Um, but yeah, I'll go ahead and leave that in the room for you guys, and I hope to see you there. Thank you so much, Victor.
No, thank you, Kinky. Appreciate that. The what is it? It's definitely go to prompt battles. I highly recommend it, y'all. It's a really fun way to definitely see all the different ways you can make stuff. Highly recommend it. She linked it inside of VC text, so you guys can just click interested and get a notification when that goes live. Enid floating through space doing her thing. I like this. And I definitely wanted to get a robot in there. So what I did is I grabbed one of the NASA robots, right, and I threw just the generic robot in there so that we can just get the basic shapes. And what I'm going to do now is I'm going to inpaint Lolo's character back in. So let me open that up here really quick. Copy that link again. Paste. Okay. I'm just going to grab his CREF really quick. And, yep. Let's upres one of these. I'm going to go with that first one here because it seems like the perspective is mostly right. And as I tend to recommend whenever doing this kind of stuff, you want to make sure that you only do like a small segment of the image at a time. So let's just do the face first, preserving the neck and the shoulders, just so that we can hopefully get just Lolo's face in there. We're going to replace the CREF. Okay. And then I'm also going to do Niji 6. And then hit submit. Just because it really wasn't working last time when it came to getting this result. And I'm seeing that Niji 6 is on with his character design. So we'll see what this comes out with. We might need to borrow some of the actual character prompt as well. Just really depends on how much the CREF is able to compensate. Her spaceship should look like Butterfly. Well, it should just be like a No Man's Sky inspired butterfly ship for Enid. But this looks like it's gonna work for what is it, for Lolo's character here. It's definitely adding the hood back in, but that's fine. Let's go ahead and say that this is. We got to drop that character weight a little bit because it's so cartoony. It's not really creating the result I would want. So let's see here. If you notice, look how starched the or Stark, the orange is in here. And the face is basically just not rendering at all. So let's go ahead and hop ourselves back up here. And I'm going to put a negative prompt on hood. Scratch the starchy orange. Yeah, yeah. I wonder. It does not sound appetizing. So I'm going to add, because hoodie is already added in there as a negative. That's interesting. Okay. So let's do this then. I'm going to remove Niji 6 and say no hood as well as hoodie. And then say man talking to his robot assistant. Okay, let's just submit this and see what we get. Yeah, Lolo's character as is definitely very like a cyberpunk street kid with a street kid robot. could be a decent way to describe him. But I am curious if we're able to bypass some of the just with V6, and it's closer. Like we're getting a bit of a cleaner result, but it's still very strong. So what I'm gonna do is start to drop the character weight a little bit too, and describe the character. So let's grab robot android wearing a black hoodie, vest, and baggy trousers. That's describing the character. His name is Soon, is tagged on his chest, and then sci-fi character concept. Okay. So I'm going to say robot android. That's the only thing I need to pull from this to get to retain this image here. So to his robot android. And then I'm going to drop the character weight just by a bit. Let's do 60. And if we want to go really far with it and really have hopefully the style mesh really well, we could drop the character weight all the way to 0 and see if it's able to retain that this is a robot at all. It should blend a lot better the lower the character weight is with the rest of the image. So, Rhapsody's got us a video GIF going on here. Oh, look at that. That is awesome. All right, I'm going to blow this up for you guys to see. No, continue without supporting us. Yes, I'm going to continue without supporting you, Imager. That's fun. Nice. I like it. I like the hand that pops up, too. It is very small. Okay. All right. Finally did we get it. So we with the character weight of 60, we were able to retain, hey, that this is a robot that we're talking to here. But with a character weight of 0, we actually got way closer, and it was because it's just allowing for these styles to merge more with lower character weights. So I would probably say that the first one is probably the most accurate. Let's go with that one. I see where you guys are going with this. Okay. So let's go for this here. We have now Lolo as a robot here, which is awesome. But I'm going to paint out this blue dialy chest bit here. And just because it is a service bot, right? I'm going to say wearing the plain clothes, right? So Lolo, I have feel free to completely ignore this idea. I don't want you to feel obligated by me saying this or anything like that. But I want you to kill Marcus for his clothes so that you can go back to Earth. I feel like you got your clothes from Marcus. This is Lolo's origin story that we're all of a sudden working on. He was a service bot on a mining ship, and just something went haywire, and he wants to come back to Earth for some reason. There you go. That's it. That's your bullshit origin story. Marcus was the only one in his world for 15 minutes and we're already killing him off. We don't have to kill Marcus, okay? We could just make Marcus okay, yes, we don't have to kill Marcus. I'm just a big fan of subverting expectation in the audience, right? If you start your movie off with a character and you're like, oh, okay, this is the main character. This is the guy that we're going to follow. We're going to have to emotionally invest in everything this guy's doing. And, and you get all the way up to that point where you're just about to be like, yes, this is the movie. This is what I'm going to watch. And then that character dies only for you to watch the story about the person who killed him or the person who's watched that happen or whatever. I love stories like that. I love stories that intentionally subvert the expectation of the audience to such a degree that they become emotionally invested in the wrong character. I love that. It's kind of it's definitely tricky. It's hard to do. Okay,
That's
let's
why I
see.
stopped dating because I was always getting emotionally invested in the wrong character.
Let's see here. Let's go for which one looks best in my opinion. Yeah, I kind of like the original one more with the blue. Um, I'm just gonna do a closer in paint. I'm gonna not do. I'm gonna make sure that chess piece is preserved here. All right, let's just highlight that and get rid of the blue. That's the only thing I want to get rid of on this. I just honestly the reason I it's just because he has such like this humanoid sort of casual demeanor to him sometimes, Lolo. It just makes me laugh thinking that like his origin story is something that's so kind of like uh just this either brutal or otherwise like it unassuming, right? I love what my like at least in my childhood there's one movie that is so important to me, my view on technology and everything else. And I this is a monumentous movie for me, which is Short Circuit. And so to make a sci-fi version of Short Circuit out of your OC would be so fun. And let me just if you guys have not seen this movie, I'm it's something that you guys should watch. Some of it doesn't stand up. So there's a guy who there's a white guy who plays an Indian guy in the movie that just that does not that aged like milk. Okay, but yes, not watching Short Circuit is illegal. It should be illegal, Going Pasta. I fully agree with you there, for sure. But if you have not seen this movie, here you go. Here's the wiki on it. Short Circuit is an amazing movie about a robot that just wakes up one day, that gets consciousness because he gets hit by a lightning strike, and he's like a military robot designed to kill people, but he doesn't want to do that. It's such a good movie. It's such a great like kids movie. But Short Circuit is a wonderful inspo for me. I feel like I got into gizmos and technology because of Short Circuit. I wanted that robot dude to be alive. I wanted to pet like that, or just a friend like that. That just sounds fun. Okay, so now that we have this, I'm gonna upres the third one here because I feel like that's good enough for what we're doing. Okay, so we have him talking to the machine here. But you could call me Marcus. Okay, there we go. We have our little intro here. So at this point, I'm going to upres these, and we're just gonna see what where this kind of takes us from here. Um, we since we have a little bit of an origin potential here for Lolo, and I want to give him some time to kind of mess around with some stuff too while I am uh, going at least going off about more sci-fi stuff. Right now, everything that we've been doing has been very much focused on a sort of dystopian. Uh, yeah, we've been doing sort of dystopian, a sort of dystopian story. I'm thinking that just to give a bit of a change of pace and a little bit more time for this story to grow on its own within VC Create by you guys. I am going to shift gears from this story with Marcus to a comic that I made. I rushed this comic out. It took me 2 hours to make. I admit that I made this quite quickly, but I will just go ahead and grab that inside of the Gnarly Studios server, which is where I preview all of my comics ahead of time, or at least I try to preview most of the comics. The only exception to that is the Sage comics. I'll make those a bit of a surprise for people, but if I now open up the Gnarly Studios server, there we go. Here's the Gnarly Studios server. If we look inside of here, we have a category or channel called comics. And inside of that, I have included these two comics. I'm going to post them inside of VC text for you guys. That's one and two. And I have crafted a profile for you guys as well to accompany this. Um, let's just say that this profile will and I'm just going to open this up on the wider chat so you guys can see this. And VC Text is the comic that I produced ahead of this stream. It's posting right now. It's like 35 megs. Hold on. Um, Enid, that bottom left one here. Hold on, Enid, that bottom left one is so freaking derpy. It's just making me laugh, though. I just have to make mention of this face right here. Look at that. It's glorious. That's a glorious face right there. um, let's go ahead and open this back up here. Okay. So, yes, the helmet face is amazing. But if you look at our comic that I've posted here, it is following some space orcs as they are kind of doing their thing on the battlefield when a giant blue beam comes in from space and it explodes behind them, zapping one of the members of their squad. By the way, when I was making this, I realized that one of the guys back there kind of looked like he was being electrocuted. So I just kept leaning into this, and this honestly took me like 6 or 7 re-rolls in order to get it to work. But I definitely got one of the orcs being electrocuted with blue lightning coming out of his eyes as soon as Vic comes landing in here. And I was just and I know that I'm doing power trip stuff with this stuff, but it's just so much fun to do. I couldn't say no to it. So that's page 1. And then page 2, this is a combination of Midjourney and Photoshop Beta in order to expand things out. So all the floor debris, that was all done with Photoshop Beta, but the rest of it is all Midjourney. And then all this down here is also Midjourney. So I had a lot of fun with this. I used to play a ton of 40K back in the day. So this is definitely going to be scratching a itch for my childhood self today. So I'm curious from you guys. There's already a bunch of examples inside of the Blue Lodge, which is our sci-fi themed AI channel in the Gnarly Studios server, of all sorts of different sci-fi stuff from you guys. You can see here's the Blue Lodge here, where I generated most of this stuff. You can get all the prompts there, but what we can do is we could use these comics as a style reference in order to generate the remainder of this story that I have produced. So if we come into here and say, hey, okay, this is page 1. Okay. So I'm going to hit /imagine --sref and then paste both links. We're gonna combine our comics here. I have both links for the style reference. Okay. And then I have a what is it? A profile code specifically for this. And what this profile code does, it's not just all gonna gains work. It's not all not all Warhammer stuff. What it is it's gonna turn your stuff into Space Marines. It just will. It just will defaultly whatever character you include in here. It will, if you include this profile, and I'll link it here inside of VC text for you guys too. If you include this profile, it'll turn your character into a Space Marine. All right. So in order to not get a Space Marine, you have to do a negative prompt for a couple things. So like the no Space Marine and Warhammer is what I was going with when I made this comic. Okay. And then we do AR45 in order to produce comic panels, or just a bit of a comic page, I mean. And I'm going to say multiple comic panels. Okay. Let's just go with that. But I'm not even going to worry about Niji or nothing like that. No character references to start. I'm just curious what the comic I just made is going to do as a style reference moving forward. I've already did one test with this, and I found that my characters were being pretty consistent with this. So we'll see. But I am on like week 5 now of not having a smoothie when I'm streaming, and I feel so sad. I wish my smoothie place didn't close, but oh well. But you can see here, yeah, it is. It's yeah. I have a smoothie sadness. That is indeed true. So you can see here that without referencing by removing the prompts for Space Marine and Warhammer using a negative prompt on here, we were able to get like a generic battle torn city and all sorts of like kind of gritty 80s ness to the whole thing, which is awesome. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of those negative prompts and show you what happens when we don't do negative prompts. And then I will also include inside of here. You could see where I was kind of messing with some of this stuff. You could see we're trying to kind of make a more animated style out of it, and it looks cool, but it's so hard to keep consistent because there's just so much painterly effect that Warhammer introduces that yeah, it's gonna quickly fall apart on you. It makes more sense for us to have a character reference on top of this too, to get this. So the look at this though. Okay, Gom Pasta already knocking it out when it comes to using this profile code. You could literally write whatever you want, and it's going to make it a Space Marine. By the way, like you don't even have to write Space Marine. It just does it. It's so funny. Um, okay, so now here it is without the negative prompts. So it's wow, Batman became a Space Marine. Iron Man looking kind of Space Marine guy here. It looks like Marcus actually. And then we have a whole bunch of comic panels that are clearly Warhammer, like clearly like they're medievally themed with the swords, but I mean these are like straight up Space Marine guys again. So there's the power of negative prompts in action. But what I want to do is I'm actually going to include, let's do Gompasta's character here because this is a Sisters of Battle character from a mile away. So let's grab this, and then I'll grab our comic style reference here, and then I'll add her as a character reference, and let's do depicting a let's see a gruesome battle. Space battle. Let's do gruesome battle against orcs because there's orcs featured in the style reference. So against space orcs, you got to describe them as space orcs in order to get all the rust metal junk all over them and all that sort of stuff. But I also have a character reference that is a neat trick you can do with this because we are talking about a figurine game that these are all kind of inspired off of. You could use the actual photos of miniatures. So if you have miniatures that you've made, like from Warhammer or any other game, really, you can take photos of those miniatures and then use that as a character reference inside of Midjourney. So let's take a look at what we got for Gom Pasta's character here. Just a lot of screaming Space Marines, and there's the orcs above her. Okay, cool. That's fun. And of course, look at this. If you ever see this message, by the way, only you can see this, right? That just means that it thinks that there's something inside of this prompt that is not like necessarily publicly safe. So we probably just want to change one or two words here. It's probably gruesome battle is probably what's doing it. So I'm going to do multiple comic panels depicting a battle against orcs, space orcs, and then I'm going to do, let's say, I mean, if we did an EG6 and did an anime data set, it'll probably look even more catgirl. But I'm going to say that we should do a high style weight. Let's do 750 on that one. Let's just give it a try. Smoothie bluesies, yeah. For sure. So if you basically take any character and use it as a character reference, combine it with this profile, you're basically going to make a Space Marine version of that character. Now, I do want to... Yes! This character here from Princess Lex, I think, is just the derpy guy that's in the background of one of your old results that just became so big on our server. It's so silly to see this character again. I love it, but it's so silly. But now look at this. Okay, let's get this. Let's up-res the second one here, because now that we're seeing multiple panels pretty easily. There you go. She's shooting around, just doing her thing on there. So if we try this now, maybe with a character weight of 0, so we can maybe get some more orcs in there and less just her dominating the image. I'm curious what this gets us. What's going on here, Fractal Bob? This is bizarre. The perspective on like the proportions of this is like caricature art. Is that in your prompt? No. Weird. It must be in the style reference. That is an odd one. The ventriloquist dummy is just such a freaking hilarious prompt. Okay, all right. Let's see. Okay, yes. Okay, so we dropped the character weight to 0 on this result here, and look at how much more it's just straight up Space Marine with a somewhat cat girl like hair color. Like there's almost nothing about this as cat girl anymore. But we have way more interesting compositions now because the character weight is so low. So if we wanted to, we could easily start to like in paint and make corrections like we did in the other comics. But it's just a lot more fun to pick a like your own goofy character and just kind of go hard with it. I do have one for you guys that some of you all will recognize anyway. Let me open it up on my Discord here. Got to scroll on up here for a second. By the way, if you use me instead as the character reference, like this version of myself that I had made for the stream here today, you're far more likely to get it to do some fun stuff because I'm already featured in the style reference, right? So like if I now replace myself here, let's put this here, okay, and then I say just multiple comic panels without describing anything. It's far more likely to just give us a reliable result because I'm already featured in the style reference quite heavily. Okay, so at this point, I want to grab one result here that I was given permission to show you guys. So let's see here. I gotta scroll up for a second to find it. Sorry, guys. Oh, look at this. Look at this. There you go. There you go. There you go. This is just showing you like this having accompanying things makes so much sense to have because we we have a style reference, a character reference that all complements each other. And look at that. Just I could use that panel. I could use both of these panels in that comic if I wanted to. Just like the battle was too easy, like kind of an argument, right? Like just that's the cockiness that I get off of that image. Not saying that that's what I want you guys to do. I'm just saying that I really like this third result though, because of the implication that this is all like motion lines, right? Like look at the motion. Look at that. Just look at that. The like caught in the like sweeping of it all is just awesome. I would have to inpaint the shoulders to be accurate to how I have the design right now, but it looks so good. What are you doing with a big hammer? Rhapsody. That's great. Okay, so the thing I was trying to show you guys though was maybe it's just easier if I let me. Did I call her a redhead? No. Okay, I'll find it. Just give me a moment. There it is. Literally right after I said it, I scrolled past it. Okay. Okay. I'm going to do /show on this so that you guys can see it. The way that this works, by the way, if you have not used /show before and you're on Discord, you can click on the add reactions up here and then find the envelope emoji. If you can't find it easily, then just write envelope. And as soon as you click on the envelope emoji, you're going to get a notification from Midjourney, and that notification is going to be your job ID. So we can now take this job ID and copy and then paste that into VC Create or any other server that has the Midjourney bot on it. So let's do /show job ID and then paste that job ID. And there you go. All right. So I wanted to show you guys this result here just because for anyone that's familiar with the Tiff and Eve comics, you know that Eve has a giant wooden hammer. So it's only appropriate to give her a giant war hammer for this. So that's what we did here. We gave him a big, we gave her a big old warhammer, and it's just awesome to see this exaggerated cartooning or just cartoon aesthetic really shining a light inside of the this dystopian future. It's just really cool to see. So there is another result that I got of her where she's like super buff and stuff, but this is awesome. It's like discovering the hammer. It's just so cool. I love this. So if you guys want to mess with this result, if you guys want to make a Tiffany like sci-fi thing, right? Then the only thing you got to do is just copy her character reference, which is right here. This was an image that was crafted across about like 45 minutes actually, in order to get the range of expressions and proportions correct for Eve. I see Eve in a very particular way. I see her, is with this sort of cockiness, this sort of attitude to her that I really wanted it to be to at least have it be seen. Whenever you look at this character sheet, I get a bit of a that vibe. So that's what I hope you guys get too when you see this, and that's the kind of vibe that Midjourney will understand through image interrogation. It looks at the image and goes, "This looks like it's a confident character," and then suddenly all your results are show a confident like movement or action, right? And that's all because of interrogation. So yeah, it's understated how important it is to if the vibes are right, then go for it. I really like the close up of the hand with the lightning there. That is so damn cool. And is this variation strong? Oh, what is this? Oh, it's just a new one. Nice. I like it. You did it. That's awesome. Is that a monkey in a test? Ooh, it's that monkey. Isn't it the name Sharts or something like that? I remember I didn't like the name. Okay. Sweet. All right. It's sharts in a jar. Yeah. Everyone wants a shart in a jar. This is awesome though. Yeah, like there's just so much inspirational fuel that comes off of using materials that complement each other. It's just huge. I really do dig it. Um, well, from here, guys, we could delve into the depths of Warhammer 40k quite hard, but I want to tell you guys this. You'll notice that only one race, one aspect of Warhammer 40k is respected with this profile with this mood board. And the reason why that is because it's based off of the codexes. And the thing is about this, and this is the important part here. The If we want to do another army, like I did orcs because I was able to basically make excuses for why they were wearing random Space Marine stuff. Because they're orcs, they steal everything. But for any of the other races, we would have to create a mood board around their specific race. So to keep with the March of the Machines theme, and just to kind of be like, look, this is what we're doing in order to make these reliable results, right? Let's create a mood board for specifically the Necron army because they're the robots inside of the 40k universe. So I am going to basically just grab a handful of images and we're going to run them in a mood board together. This will be probably coming towards the end of the stream here, so it's best I make an announcement now before I forget to do it. That we do have a show after the show that you can catch on our studios on the on the Gnarly Studios server. The show after the show is where you can come onto the stage and talk with us directly and share your projects, collaborate, do that kind of thing, but in real time with all you guys. Instead of just me yammering at you for 3 hours, I'll be able to sit down with you guys, chat, and see what sort of projects you guys are getting into. For example, the potato propagator, he deserves a shout out. He's been working hard on an educational book for growing potatoes and or sweet potatoes particularly. So if he hops on, you're gonna hear about sweet potatoes. You know, so it's a very diverse crowd. We're doing all sorts of stuff. I know that this is going to be kind of a gruesome stream with the sci-fi stuff, at least my angle with the sci-fi stuff. But we are definitely going to dive into all sorts of different things. I had a lot of trouble doing cyberpunk when I was prepping for this stream, but we'll probably do cyberpunk next stream. I do have a result where Warhammer 40k Victor rips the door off of a fancy cyberpunk car and is like, "You're in the wrong timeline," something like that, you know. But I didn't finish it in time, so I was like, okay, this is good enough here. But we do have the server that you can join. There's a link for it inside of VC text. I really want you to join and hop on the voice text and hang out with us. That would be so much fun. Thanks again, Victor. You're awesome streaming for using my OC as the base tonight. Oh yeah, no problem, sir. I know you were so excited about March of the Machines, man. It is something that I am so excited to be able to feature you guys because it's one thing when it's like, you know, you're making a story, you're making kind of your own thing, right? It's another thing to kind of see someone else give like fresh eyes on it because that's so much more inspiring to me. Like people go like, I don't want to criticize your work, but I'm like, no, please do it because that tells me what I need to do. It literally when people like give me constructive criticism, I get super excited. I have too thick of a skin to be upset by that stuff anymore. But it's a completely different story when someone says that this is bad or this says this doesn't make sense. That doesn't tell me anything. That doesn't tell me what I need to know in order to fix things. So constructive criticism is what we encourage and we push on our server. So at the same time too, I'm also pretty lenient on some of the stuff I know that you guys can't control, like some of the anatomy stuff and whatnot. If you can fix it, I will tell you to fix it. You know what I mean? Like, but if Midjourney's like gonna really fight you on something, then I get it. But I'm about making works of art that actually like make sense and don't upset people at first glance, and that's only possible by knowing what you're doing. So thank you guys so much for coming in here and learning about how to do it right and how to do things in a way that makes it a bit more polished and refined. So I'm seeing Gnome 40k from Lolo. Thank you for that. But what I'm gonna do is we are going to build this quick little mood board here, showing off the Necron army, and then that way we have a actual machine theme for next, because we're doing March of the Machines. So for that way we have at least a robot themed start to next week. I realized I had all this 40k stuff, and I was like, okay, all right, let's dial it back. Let's go back to machines here in general. So let me first just hop on over to Google here, and then we are going to search for Necron and then 40k. Okay. So at this point, let's see here. I just want to open this up. Okay. So whenever you're doing like image research or anything that you're trying to like, you know, grab reference points for you, the thing about this is that it's pretty important to get a pretty clean image. It doesn't have to be a high resolution image. It just has to be clean and not blurry and full of compression artifacts and all that stuff, because otherwise it'll try to recreate those compression artifacts. And ideally we want to pick stuff with a unified art style, which is pretty easy to do when we talk about a themed game like this, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to save these images that look like they match or in a similar aesthetic to each other. But before I do that, I'm going to go under Tools here, and I'm going to set Size and then hit Large. And that will give us the highest, or like the most resolution inside this image here. So now we're just going to grab our favorite Necrons. I'm just going to open up a bunch of panels here. I'm going to aim for the ones that do not look like figurines. I really want it to look like the art style, particularly of Warhammer 40k. So we're just going to grab a handful of images here. And we really don't need that many. We only need enough to establish the rules of the art. And so I'm going to just kind of scroll through here, but yeah, I like that one a lot. That one's pretty cool. So we're going to go ahead and just save all of these. We probably need to click in and zoom in to see. But that is the best way to do this, is just to grab the links themselves to all this. So let's grab that one. And oop, that's to a video. We'll grab this one, save image. Okay. Grab that one. This one's a little more like a 3D render, which might screw up our results a bit, but whatever. That's a WebMT. Let's skip this one. Let's see this one here. Is that one going to save for us? Yep. Okay. And then lastly, this one. Okay. So we get a little bit of non-humanoid effect as well from this listing here. Okay. So we have all these saved. Now I'm going to open up on the Midjourney website. Let's see here. This is the last thing we're doing before the stream here, just so you guys can see how I made the 40K stream or profile here. So let's open up Midjourney here and tablet. Okay. I'll go to personalize. We are now going to go to create mood board here on the right side. And then I'm going to upload images, and we are just going to grab all the images that we just downloaded. So let's do these 4 here. It's only 4 images, okay? The smaller the mood board, the more honed in it is, okay? There is not really a lot of a point to just one image for your mood board. You might as well just use a style reference at that point, I think. But these 4 images are now going to give us a custom code. So we're going to use that, say, use in prompt. That gives us the code up top that we can now use. So I'm going to copy that. And now, if I pop ourselves back into VC Create here, let's just say that this is a sci-fi film. So sci-fi film, we're not even going to mention robots. This is important for testing, is that we're going to see how much the actual profile creates or compensates for our prompt. So I'm just going to generically write sci-fi film, and then give us an aspect ratio somewhat like a movie. That's like 3:2 or 16:9. And we're just going to submit that. I'm also going to do it again, but this time with Niji, just to compare, just to see what the anime dataset does to this profile. Mood boards in general are actually, they work a bit lesser, or they're not as robust with Niji as they are with base Midjourney. So let's see what we get off of this here. Not into 40K lore, but yeah, chaos and undead robots, right? Yeah, for sure. Look at this. Okay, all right. So you can see it's definitely not giving us, the Necron characters, which is what we want. We want to be able to have some unique identity within this stuff, and then establish who our characters are. But we have far more alien worlds that include like that vile putrid green that we read about on TV tropes on the last stream. That is more than representative here in these results. So we could say now that this is, we could see that there's no robots in here. So let's say like sci-fi film depicting a robot rebellion. If I pretend like I know anything about 40K lore, I just know that it's like loosely based off of freaking every sci-fi property and the Bible. So if you're down for that combination of basically sci-fi onslaught, then Warhammer 40K lore is your bag. But you can see here we're definitely getting a lot more Necron-like inspired anatomy here, which is perfect. It lets us get a lot closer to the sort of world eater aesthetic that they go for that. So that's awesome. And now we just combine it with a character reference. So you could say, and look here, they just wrote a Necron. So Midjourney knows what a Necron looks like, right? In terms of like the face shape and the body and all that stuff. It's awesome. It's just really cool to be able to say, hey, just with the word Necron, you can go really far with it. But there is also a god of Necrons, actually. So it's like I know that sounds odd, but I want to do the Necron deities. They are robot deities, yes. And one of them is named Nightbringer, and I freaking loved it. I built this model myself, actually, for my younger brother. And if we now copy him, he looks like the Death, right? He looks like death, but he's definitely like a captured deity that the machines use as an energy source, which I find so cool. Like, oh yeah, we captured God in a vial and we use him as a battery. That's basically what he is. Okay, so I just find that sort of plot so dystopian and hilarious to me. So let's go ahead and grab this character. Okay,
Yeah.
let's put this here and then do a C riff. And then that's going to be the end of the stream here is after the result that we get off of this here. We might need to lower the weight of this because it is a black and white drawing of this character and not the actual three like cartoon model or anything, or sorry, the figurine model. But if we use the figurine model, we'll probably get a higher, more accurate result. This is going to be a lot more interpretive, so we'll see what it does. Oh, yeah, he looks great here, actually. That's awesome. Definitely some wonky anatomy with the scythe that's being incorporated, but that's what the character looks like. I mean, it's very similar to this, so this is awesome. Just and it's pulling all that off of a sketch, off of a drawing of this character. So that is too cool. It just shows you that if you do have like a hand drawn version of your character, you could just use that as a character reference and take it from there. All right, guys. I'm coming towards the end of the stream here. I feel like I've tapped out what I've wanted to explore here today, but I see you guys are already going nuts with a ton of fun stuff, especially stuff set on the Necron worlds, right? That are like the Eaton worlds from these guys. Love it. I just love it. So I'm just gonna spend some time to scroll through this and what is it? I'm just gonna see if there's anything that I missed here real quick before we head on out. There's going to be a lot
No,
of
not for
warm stuff.
me.
More than enough for you guys, I feel like. It's definitely I am eager to start my weekend. Let me tell you that. It's definitely been it's been a good week, but I'm just eager to get started, get this weekend going. I hope the same for you guys.
I am ready to go. And I hope to see you guys this weekend, and I will see you next time.
Yeah. All right, guys. You'll have a good one. See you over at my
You too.
server.
Bye bye.
Bye.
Bye bye.